next mix we will do is this one here, Indian Red and Cobalt Turquoise. So this one is on an opaque side, so don't need much of it. So I'll just bring it up halfway, then wash my brush, get rid of some extra water, and just pull it out. It's a great color if you want variety of opaqueness and pretty transparent pink. Okay, let's see what happens when we bring them together. So this kind of should be an interesting mix as well. So gorgeous gray. Because red and blue neutralize each other, so we might see something very beautiful here. There's some magic happening. Really nice. Okay, so back into Indian Red. Oh, that was way too much. Okay, let's say this is a good variation. There we go. And now somehow we'll try to create. Now, well, we will definitely not get to that Terre Verte in this mix. That's for sure. We don't have enough green in here, but I'll try. No, so it's more of a gray color. It's actually quite close to the one I have before, so I'm going to go add some more. So this is a good one. Just slightly more of a muted version of the previous color, like so. Okay, so I made sure to change the water at this point. I think this is the second time that I changed it now. It just got a bit too muddy. And then let's move on to the next two colors. Now, these are going to be also quite exciting mixes because on their own they do some crazy magic stuff. So I'm talking about the Hematite Violet shade particularly, and then there's also the Hematite Brown shade. So both of them will be mixing with our Cobalt Turquoise. All right, so Hematite Violet shade. Also don't need much of it. So this one likes to separate into something quite interesting. So I'll try to add a bit more water, it acts better. Any of the super granulating and pigment separating colors work better with more water. Just move some of this color here so you can see already something happening right there. And again, look at the shell. It actually is quite good to do these mixes in these oyster shells because they're not flat. So having a bit of a, you know, wells and all of that makes you see how the pigment settles into wells and then what you get around it as well. So it's quite a good discovery, this one. Okay, let's go into Cobalt Turquoise and get our middle color. Also a very pretty gray. So there. And then this is also very pretty. Now these colors won't cost you a fortune, and they're very interesting to create these granulating mixes. So if you wanted to play but you didn't have the budget for Daniel Smith, I find that Roman Szmal is a good, more affordable brand to check out. There we go. And now let's bring in a bit more of the Cobalt Turquoise. Just mute it down ever so slightly. And see if it picks up any of these Indian red particles, that it will create a separation, because here what you can see, the Indian red came up. Sorry, I didn't mean Indian red, I meant the Hematite Violet shade, whether it will kind of bring up the particles of the pigments, because if it's done it here in the Indian red. And have a look what's happening here again. How pretty. So if I try to mix them up, see what happens. Gorgeous. Final mix. So now we're going to look into Hematite Brown shade. And after this, I will walk you through the pigments in these 5 browns. And I'll try to find the pigment for the Cobalt Turquoise as well. I'm also going to lift some of the color from the other end to reveal the magic. Okay. I will first go back into here and create more of a different brown. There we go. And more of the Cobalt Turquoise. There we go. Cobalt Turquoise is a beautiful color on its own. It's already muted. It's, you know, it's gorgeous. It's got that granulation. But if you wanted to add a little bit of interest to it, just a little bit of something different than what it is already, try any of these browns, and or in fact just have a nice play in your sketchbook. Try other colors. Anything that's cobalt will basically be very welcoming to other colors, because it will just constantly interact with them and mix quite nicely. Okay, so I will wait for the last swatches to dry, and actually while I'm doing that, let me just share the pigments with you. So here we go. So Burnt Sienna Monte Amiata is PBR 7. Oh, so it is PBR 7. How interesting. It has certainly created something completely different to all of these colors. I mean, looking at the 5 colors, I think we are quite far away from Terre Verte, to be honest with you. If I just pull out the Terre Verte again. So I thought this color was kind of close, but now that it's drying, I don't know if you can see or not, it looks a lot more kind of opaque, I'd say, a bit heavy compared to the lovely transparent granulating colors over here. Oh my gosh, I forgot that I actually was going to mix the chartreuse. Oh my goodness, how long is this video going to be? Okay, I'll just add a little stamp right here, and I will pick my favorite Terre Verte mix, which is kind of this one here. And then I will add lemon yellow into it and see what happens. That should be exciting. Okay, right, so yeah, so the 5 are more on a, you know, blue or grey kind of side, but they're very, very interesting. And my favorite mix is here with Aquarius Brown. I will bring you in closer when they're fully dried. Okay, carrying on with Aquarius Brown. So this one is PBR 11. Then we have Indian Red. So this was PBR 11. Then Indian Red is PR 101. And then we have Hematite Violet shade is PR 102 Earth Pigment. And the final one, Hematite Brown shade, is a PR 102 as well. And also an Earth Pigment. I'll see you in a few seconds with dry swatches and close-ups, and finally some lemon yellow. Alright, so I thought while these are still drying, I'll use a bit of time to create the chartreuse color. And I don't want to use a heat tool, which I could do, but I don't want to use it because with the pigment separating colors, sometimes you can really impact how these are drying. And the best thing to do with pigment separation is just to let them settle and dry completely naturally, because it will be disturbed how the pigments settle and separate and all of that, especially in those little puddles that are left. We want to see how things will do naturally. So same actually goes to super granulating colors. I find again they look much better when they dry naturally. All right, so the whole exercise of creating our own Terre Verte mixes were so that we could create this beautiful speckled granulated chartreuse green. So there's another chartreuse green here which has been used or created with permanent sub green and Windsor lemon. So if you combine the two, you then get a more kind of, when I say settled, I mean less granulating in here. This is the most granulating out of all of them, and so I find it more interesting. So let's go ahead and see what sort of ratio we need to create or mix to create this chartreuse green. So I have 3 of my colors, the Viridian Sedona Genuine, which is actually from this mix. It's my favorite for the Terre Verte mix, which is this one here. I felt that it represented the granulation, the transparency, really beautifully, and the right color tone as well, more than with what I could achieve with the stated PBR 7. So let's go with that. And for my lemon green, I will use Schmincke's. It's PY3. And yeah, let's just go ahead and try to create some lovely mixes. Now for that, I think I'm going to grab another palette, a bigger one, because I might need a bigger space to create the right swatches. I found a palette which has some sort of gold. I think this is the Aztec gold and what looks like quinacridone gold or something like that. So I am going to use the free space to create our perfect chartreuse. Now this is a mix I would never have thought of creating a chartreuse. Generally I would just go for some sort of, you know, vivid green with maybe gold green in there and a bit of lemon yellow, but this is quite up there, and let's see what we get. Quite exciting really. So I will be swatching all three of them, and I'll start with the Viridian because I think, judging by the previous mix, we needed very little of the Sedona Genuine and we needed more of this color. Now I don't know if I will need more of the lemon yellow than Sedona Genuine or not. My guess would be I will need quite little, so I'll go with my gut feeling and swatch them in that order. So first Viridian, then Sedona Genuine, and then lemon yellow. I hope you're still here with me. Comment down below if you are. But that's the slight problem when I'm doing watercolor videos. I just get so carried away. As I'm doing the video, I start with one idea and then I get so excited and the idea then starts kind of growing into more ideas, and next thing you know, I've been sitting here for hours, and of course, you know, editing time also then stretches. So for me, these videos are harder to make than the others, but I do enjoy them. Okay, lemon yellow. So I would assume I wouldn't need that much of it, so let's go in here. I will try my hardest to not touch it with Sedona Genuine. Hold your breath. I'm joking. Don't hold your breath, breathe. Right, here we go. So, not the prettiest color combo, I have to say. Quite offensive. So, here we go. Here is our Viridian. Into that goes a bit of Sedona Genuine. And I'd say this is about here. So I'll try it on the paper first. It's a bit too green, isn't it? So I'll try to lift it. Add a bit more Sedona. And I think we're there now. There we go. So there is our Terre Verte. And now to that we will add, I'll start with the tiniest amount of lemon yellow, and it looks like we'll need quite a bit actually than I thought. So in the recipe we should then swatch this color first, then lemon yellow, then Sedona Genuine, because you can see it will take quite a while. So what I will do, I'll just swatch it here and then stamp another 5 colors, and then that will give us the different gradients. So I'm going to stamp it right next to it. There we go. And now I'll just carry on adding lemon yellow until I get to that perfect chartreuse, because you can see it's sort of acid green right now. Not something I had in mind for it. So I'll just carry on mixing. So we're getting there now, look. Now that's quite pretty. Actually. but I will carry on. Sorry if you can hear the noise outside. So the color I have here is the perfect chartreuse. And then let's just carry on adding bit by bit, bit more, until we get to the most kind of yellow chartreuse, and then that will give us quite a few options to pick the right chartreuse. But yeah, you get the idea. Needs a bit more yellow actually. Okay, and then the final yellow mix. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of really obviously clashing with this beautiful page here of muted colors, but you know, I was interested in seeing these mixes, so I'll have to live with it. So I couldn't resist trying something else, because although I love these colors, these are not sitting well together for me, and I hate having swatches next to each other that don't work. But anyway, so looking at the original swatch here, I think color-wise this is probably the closest one. So this one and this one, although on camera it actually looks up lighter, this one here, than it is in reality. However, I didn't manage to achieve these sort of speckles here of the viridian coming through. I'm not sure how they achieved it here, because the more of the yellow I would add, the more it obviously would get to the yellow spectrum, end of the spectrum. But maybe what they've done is they were adding viridian at the top, like on top of this mix, just to make it pop up a little bit more. That could have been an option. But what I decided to do is actually create a more interesting even version of this, which is the mix here that I have with the Roman Szmal, Cobalt Turquoise and Aquarius Brown, which was far from Terre Verte, but I did manage to get, I feel like, closer to this mix within here. The separation that's happening here is just stunning. Maybe it's not so much, you know, similar to this, because it's got green speckles in there from viridian. We obviously don't have a viridian here, so the speckles that are coming here through, they are from the Cobalt Turquoise, which is a completely different thing. So probably not a right choice of words to say that it's the closest to this mix. However, I find this a lot more interesting, and I'm so glad I tried it, because this is so unique. And who thought by combining those three colors, so again just Cobalt Turquoise, Aquarius Brown and Lemon Yellow, would get you to this beautiful, interesting chartreuse with a twist kind of thing. So anyways, let's have a closer look, and I really hope the camera is picking up how it really looks. So I hope you can see it here, what's happening. and the areas that are already dry, how interesting they look. And then we get these kind of more of a traditional chartreuse, so without the granulation. But let's come back to these swatches. I'll give you a nice close-up here as well. And I left this space to create a botanical where I will be using some of these mixes that I really enjoyed playing with and seeing how that will translate into a painting. But that will be a separate video because, as you can imagine, we'd be here for hours otherwise. Okay, so the Roman Szmal, Viviante and Malachite mix. And then we have the same but with the transparent turquoise next to it. And then Schmincke Viridian and burnt umber. Daniel Smith Viridian and burnt sienna. Coming back to Schmincke, Viridian and maroon brown. Daniel Smith Viridian and Mummy Bauxite. And Daniel Smith Viridian and Sedona Genuine. So that was my favorite Terre Verte mix. Roman Szmal, Cobalt Turquoise and burnt sienna Monte Amianta. And then we have Roman Szmal, Cobalt Turquoise with Aquarius Brown. So again, very interesting. My top choice out of the mixes, along with the Sedona Genuine right there. I hope you can see how beautiful the pigments separate. And then we have Roman Szmal, Cobalt Turquoise and Indian Red, also interesting. Roman Szmal, Cobalt Turquoise and Hematite Violet shade. Didn't come through as interestingly as I hoped, so I felt like the Aquarius Brown was a more interesting mix, but still beautiful colors. Cobalt Turquoise and Hematite Brown shade. So you can see these are sort of similar, but one is more brown, the other one is more violet. And coming back to where we started, that's the Aquarius Turquoise, Cobalt Turquoise with Aquarius Brown and Lemon Yellow by Schmincke. So I hope you are still here and that you enjoyed this swatch video and you found it useful and that you have learned something new. So thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.